Welcome, winos.
Hello.
Cheers! We are so happy to be back with you for season 3, and we apologize for getting the season started so late this year, but we promise to make it up to you. In this episode, we're going to be doing a preview of some of the hot topics facing HR and organizations right now. We'll delve into many of these issues more deeply in future episodes, but we thought we'd start with a bit of a lighter episode for our first one of the season. Now, you know the drill. Before we get into the WHINE of the episode, we have to get to the WINE of the episode. So, Trish, I see that you are someplace special. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are and what you're drinking? And who you're with.
Yes, exactly. I have a friend I want to introduce. You want to join me?
Absolutely.
So this is my new friend, Susie.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
How are you?
Susan.
So Susie's going to tell you where I am and what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So welcome. Hi, everybody. Great to meet you. So we are at Rusty Petunia's Marketplace. We are in Alpena, Michigan. And of course yes, gotta get the And of course, she came in on our Wine Wednesday. So we do it every Wednesday. It's perfect. We pick a certain wine. Then you get $1 off your glass. You get 10% off the bottle. So
Notice I got the bottle.
yeah, he was very smart and got the whole bottle. Yes. So we are in downtown Alpena. It's fabulous. We're not just a wine store. We have craft cocktails. We do amazing martinis. If you're in town, I highly suggest you come. We have an espresso martini that is legitimately the best around. So
One of our favorite things, right?
yes, yes, it's really, really good here. So yes. So
You're speaking my language.
yeah, we're all our spirit animals, right?
Yes.
You're in the right spot for it. We also we have a gift side where we have women's clothing. We sell beautiful Dune jewelry, which is local to the area. Yeah, we have home goods, kitchen goods, you name it, we carry it.
Julie, do you know that amazing wine ornament that I got for you?
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so we do all sorts of fun, unique things. And then, of course, because of where we are in a social district. So you can actually take your glass of wine when you're done, and then you can walk in the store. You can walk around, and you can even take it out downtown in a special glass.
Oh.
So yeah, we might be tiny, but we are mighty. So that's all I'm saying. Yes.
We're going to have to plan a field trip.
Yes, please.
Please come see us. Come see us. We'd love to have you here.
And could we briefly discuss this amazing
Yes.
wine? We show everybody.
I'm going to sneak somebody else in here if you don't mind, because she's really good at it. This is my mighty owner. She's going to be really angry at me, but I'm going to get her in anyway. Well, because she knows the wine much better than I do. I drink it because it's delicious. I'm not picky. I do know it's an Argentina wine.
She just came in from Paris.
Yes.
We should all be so lucky, right?
Right?
In here, I thought I was just going to listen in.
Yeah.
And never. Well, this is actually La Madrid, and it is an Argentinian wine. It's a Malbec. It is a beautiful, well-rounded wine. It's very smoky in the beginning, and it kind of gives you like that cigar-y flavoring at first, and then it lands all over your palate, and it's almost silky.
It's silky and fruity at the same time, or,
Yep.
or jammy. I don't know how it's.
It's definitely jammy.
Yes.
Almost like a blackberry currant.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good, Jules. This is
It's
yummy.
very yummy. You definitely need the bottle. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sounds like it.
Thank you for hosting us today. And thank you so very much. If you guys decide that you have a question, please, I'll give you all the information as promised before, and you can reach out to us and let us know.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yay,
you.
Alpina! Woohoo!
Yay.
So yummy. I'm so excited to be here. I wish I could show you all the rest of this place. It is gorgeous. And there are already people everywhere enjoying wine. So anyway, Julie, what about you?
So I am drinking a Spanish wine from a wine shop that I was recently at called Vino Type, which I'm hoping to do an episode from at some point this season. But one of their sommeliers gave me several wines to try after we talked a lot about the types of wines I like. So this is a white wine from Spain, and I had to look up how to pronounce it because if you can see, it's spelled, I almost thought it was Greek at first because there's a lot of X's and
Yeah.
interesting. And so it's Chomin Achanis. I don't know if I'm saying that part right. And the wine itself is called Chocolate, but it's Txakoli. But it's really nice. It's sort of effervescent, which is interesting, but it's not bubbly, but it's effervescent, and it's got hints of lemon and sour apple, and right up my alley. So, and then it's got like this mineral finish at the end. So it's really, really quite nice, especially it is a rare sunny 70-degree day here in Cleveland. So
That's
it
nice.
feels like spring. It tastes like spring.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, it is not 70 degrees here, thus the scarf and the red wine.
Yeah, you're up north.
Yes, a little bit.
Yep.
So, before we actually get into our WHINE, Jules, I'm guessing our listeners are wondering where the heck we've been since last season. Do you want to go ahead and share anything that you're comfortable sharing?
Sure. Well, I'm pretty much an open book. So
Yeah,
I've posted a
fair.
little bit about this on LinkedIn, but I had a major surgery in January. I ran into some complications, spent most of February in and out of the hospital, and it prolonged my recovery, which was already kind of an extended recovery. So it just wasn't in the cards to be able to do this. But um, one of the things we want all of our listeners to know is that Trish and I missed it so much. And we called each other one day and we were just like, oh my God, we got to get back on it because we miss doing it. We love sharing all of our knowledge with you and wine and we just really, really love it and we missed it. So we're very, very happy to be back. But what about you, Trish? Any updates you want to share?
Let's see. I was very happy for the break. I also was dealing with some family complications from a surgery. So it was nice to have the break, but boy, did I miss you all so much. I'm really excited to be back. I had a wonderful vacation, got to do the trip of a lifetime with my husband. We went to Europe for almost 3 weeks. So lots of wonderful new wines that we got to try over there. I'm excited to maybe even feature a couple of those in upcoming episodes.
Fun, fun, fun. Yeah. And so to our followers and our listeners, you may notice things are a little different. We're doing video podcasts now, but obviously you can just listen if you want. But we figured since we're often talking about wine and talking about the labels, that it made more sense. Plus, we have funny facial expressions because we just do. Uh, and also, we are self producing with our wonderful, wonderful, she does everything project coordinator, Brenna.
Woohoo,
So
Brenna!
yes, cheers to Brenna. We couldn't live without
Banja.
her. And so she's doing all the editing and everything. So things again might look a little bit different. We may have to test things out and sort of change things up as we move along. So we ask you for a little bit of patience with that as we work through this new landscape that we're all figuring out. But we're really excited about it. And I know we just recently mentioned we're going to have a Patreon account where we're hoping to have a lot more interaction with you, all of our listeners, and even some different levels where you can get access to different things and merchandise and all sorts of cool stuff. So we're just lots to come, and we're really excited about it.
So give us some grace as we are trying to figure out all of this new, not new technology, but new to us as we're working through it. And if you have suggestions, if you have comments, please, you do have the new email address. For those of you who haven't figured it out yet, it is wine, WHINE, at monarchendeavorsllc.com. So you can send us requests, you can send us show ideas, and we would be just really excited to hear from you.
Okay, so now let's get into our WHINE of the day. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the biggest trends, issues, challenges facing employers this year, or anticipated to be facing employers this year. We could probably spend an entire episode on each one of these, and we may in the future. But for today, we're just going to highlight each of them, and hopefully you will tell us which ones you want us to focus on in future episodes. So, Trish, why don't you get us started?
Oh boy. All right. Let's see. I think I want to start with I was actually listening to a SHRM podcast on my way up north today. And one of the things they were talking about was AI and AI's impact. And of course, talent strategy is one of our 7. And they were also talking about AI and emotional intelligence, which I thought was fascinating. So I'm really excited about this one. So I'm going to talk about AI's impact on talent strategy. I understand as an organization, you may still be hesitant to use AI for talent acquisition, but actually, nearly 2/3 of organizations have been doing it. And the truth is, even if you think, oh, I would never do that, or I'm afraid to do it, you've probably been doing it already. Because if you think about it, if you've been using something like, say, Indeed, and on Indeed, you say, okay, we want this many years of experience. We want this kind of, let's see, degree. We want this skill. We want that skill. Well, you are effectively using AI to comb through those resumes and present what AI thinks are the best candidates for you. So it's just kind of a reminder that don't be afraid of it. AI can actually be very, very helpful in, yes, going through those resumes, but also helping you to communicate with applicants. Because one of the biggest complaints of applicants is, well, they ghosted me, or I didn't hear from them, or, oh, I'm sorry, you took so long, I took a different position. So using AI to interact with and engage with these applicants, or once you've even chosen a candidate, to give them more information on your business is really an amazing, amazing tool. It allows you to have this kind of connection without having to spend a ton of your time doing it. So it can be really awesome. It can also help you, of course, with candidate searches and the interview process itself. It can also help when it comes to diversity in the talent pool. But this is one of those that I want to really talk to you guys about, because you also have to be very careful with AI. You can limit the wonderful results that you get if you're not careful about what terms you pick. So I can say to you, yes, you can use this to expand your talent pool, but it can also have a counter effect if you're not really thinking about the words and phrases that you've chosen. So just kind of a little reminder there. Jules, you want to take another one or comment on that one?
Well, no, I think you bring up really good points. And I think your last one about how you have to be really intentional about the uh, cues that you give AI is really important in any way, shape, or form that you are using AI. So that's sort of across the board, but particularly in talent acquisition. So to piggyback off talent acquisition, I'm going to talk about one of the trends, which is skills over degrees. And we have talked about this on past episodes for sure about how you can miss really good candidates if you're so focused on their education or their work experience that you may be missing those people that have transferable skills. So this is becoming a focus for a lot of companies. And by the way, all of these are coming from an article, which of course we'll link to in the show notes, called from SHRM, called Seven Trends That Will Shape HR in 2025. And they quote a lot of studies within that article, and we'll put links to all of those in the show notes as well. So, so again, employers are starting to focus more on what skills employees have versus what degrees or what their educational background or work history might be. Because they're acknowledging that oftentimes the worker's skills and capabilities matter more than their particular educational background or work history. This also widens the talent pool because you are broadening your search. So, an interesting stat for you. Yes, I'm dropping a stat, but we're probably going to
Woohoo!
be doing, both of us will be doing that in this episode. But in 2024, 81% of employers practice skills based hiring, which is up from 73% in 2023 and just 56% in 2022. So, this has been a huge trend in the last couple of years. And again, we will link to the study where those stats come from. It was this shift was brought on in part by labor shortages post COVID, as well as the rise of AI. And I really liked this quote from Jim Link, who is the SHRM CHRO. And he said, "We used to think about business sustainability in terms of things. Going forward, we're going to think that way about people. Do we have the right people with the right skills and enough workforce numbers for today and tomorrow?"
I love that.
Right? Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh
a
my
great way to
goodness.
think about it. So,
Yeah.
so I really like that, and I'm a big fan of this. I think I shared before that my husband's recently changed jobs, and a big part of that was because he had an employer who was willing to look at his skills. Because his background was not in the industry, but they looked at his skills and thought, oh, yeah, these are all transferable, and it's been going great. So you really can find great people that way.
I think transferable skills is definitely kind of the it word right now too, especially as we are continuing in this labor shortage, which is going to get worse. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
What I was listening to today was that there's even this shift away from, not that we're not going to be recruiting brand new people. We're all, of course, going to continue to do that. The real shift is going to be focusing on the employees you already have,
Hmm.
looking at the skills that they have, further developing those skills and seeing where they can transfer within your
Hmm.
organization to give their best value. So I
Yeah.
love how all of these things are going together. Speaking of
Yes.
which, should I switch to people analytics?
Sure.
People, what? I love that. So yes, as you guys know, I am the stats girl. I really do love looking at data. Um, but I also know that data can be fallible. So don't worry. We're definitely recognizing that. But the point is that if you are using and really looking at this data, you can help employees improve their performance. You can look and say, okay, what are we missing? What skills are we missing that have prevented this person from getting that promotion that they desired, or maybe shifting to a different part of your organization. And so by looking at that, we can also not only just improve their lives, but also then increase engagement. And that is one of the big things that we in HR, we're always looking for ways to increase engagement And one of the big ones then is by looking at some of these skills, recognizing what they're missing and saying, we care about you, we want to be there for you, and this is what we're going to do to help you get there. Not only that, but by using these tools, these analytical tools, it helps us as an organization better predict where not just our workforce is heading, but where we as a nation, as a world are heading, and being able to stay abreast of those changes a little bit easier. Now, one of the great examples that they give is this idea of engagement surveys. And I do love engagement surveys. I'm a huge fan of them. But I will also say that we have to be cognizant of the fact that the data can only do so much. And the data, by the time you receive it, you analyze it, and get ready to move on it, maybe 4 months old, right? So we also need to make sure that we're saying, okay, not just what can we do for the future, but what can we do right now that lets our employees know that we really are there to identify these gaps that might be hindering not only their progress, but our progress as a company, because we want to make sure that we're giving everyone and also the company an opportunity to learn and get better. So dropping a stat, because you know I love to drop them, 82% of HR professionals use people analytics to assess employee retention and turnover. 71% use it for recruiting, interviewing, and hiring. Not really a big surprise there because those are the ones that are super easy to measure. But don't forget that you can also use these, again, as we said, for growth. You can use it for individual growth, workplace planning, staffing, and then also, of course, making sure that you are recognizing those employees who have been successful and give them that thumbs up. Don't forget that it's not just about that growth, but it's also about reward of that growth.
Well, yeah, so piggybacking off of that and also the AI stuff we've already talked about, there is an increased need for training that is driven by AI and advances in technology. And that is because we are able to do so much more quickly with AI and technology that oftentimes your new employees need orientation or need more training even before they finished their orientation, just to keep up to speed with how quickly everything is changing. And that can seem scary, or it could seem like it's too much too fast. But the interesting thing is that there are a lot of benefits to advances in technology and AI, and we've talked about some of these, but it can help companies become more efficient, productive, and competitive. And it can also help you identify those employees who are adaptive, willing to learn, and could be really good future leaders. So it sort of goes back to that skills based hiring that we were talking about, or finding those people internally. You're looking for people who can easily adapt to new advances in technology, AI, or just processes and procedures, and so this can help you identify those people. And another interesting stat, employees want to update their skills. So according to a 2024 Price Waterhouse survey, almost half of employees say that having opportunities to learn new skills is a key consideration when deciding whether to change employers. So we have a ways to go. Only about 29% of organizations have actually taken proactive measures to train and upskill their employees who work alongside AI, but it's an untapped opportunity for a lot of us. And there are a lot of ways that, if you look at it, where I have found it to be most useful is if you are looking at a department, say, look at the things that take up the most time for people. Oftentimes, those are administrative tasks that don't take a lot of brain power, they just take a lot of time. And if you can use AI to speed those things up or automate some of those processes, then your team can focus on the stuff that's more important. So that's the way that I look at it, is what are those like time suckers that we might be able to get rid of that could really free up people's time and lessen their stress.
That's amazing. I love that.
Hmm.
All right, for this next one,
Yeah, we need a little bit. There's a couple bad ones in here, so we gotta refill.
top off a little bit. Now, I noticed that my mom just got here, so I am going to have to save some for her, but I
Yes.
think this should help get me through.
Ruthie may have to make an appearance because I'm sure our listeners are dying to meet your mother.
Oh my gosh, she is the most amazing woman. I know they would love her if they haven't met her already.
Yeah, we'll bring her in at the end though, where this episode will be 4 hours long. No offense,
True.
Ruthie.
Fair point, though. She's very well recognizing that, I'm sure. All right. Rising incivility is one of the other ones that we have to discuss, and we have discussed at least once, maybe twice. Do you remember what our last episode was, Jules?
I don't.
I
Well, I
can't
don't.
remember, but I know it hasn't gotten any better,
No.
and I don't think it's going to improve anytime soon. In all of the classes that I teach, this is a conversation I have. And for those of you who are not aware, I teach 2 to 3 classes every single month. So I'm in front of a lot of people from all over the country, and they have expressed a lot of concern about civility. As a matter of fact, let's talk about our SHRM Civility Index survey. This was more than 1,600 workers. They said that they experienced, now are you ready for this number? 190 million acts of incivility per day. So 58% of those occur in the workplace, which of course makes sense because most of us spend a majority of our time at the workplace, right? So let's talk about the biggest drivers. We can't get away from it. We have to say the social issues that are, we all have our different opinions, political viewpoints, generational gaps, racial or ethnic differences, and then the direction of our society right now in the US. Um, and the truth is that whether you agree or disagree with me, we ought to be able to do this in a respectful manner. And that's what all this is talking about is and we need to talk about respect and kindness. Just because you and I don't see eye to eye doesn't mean that we can't say, you know what, I respect you, let's not talk about it. Or, hey, these conversations don't belong in the workplace. Even better. Uh, but getting people to the point where they are educated. Let's talk about generational gaps. One of the big complaints is for our younger viewers or our younger listeners. I know you all have heard this. Oh, they don't have a work ethic. All they want to do is sit there on their computer and play their games or whatever it is. And our younger people towards our older people saying, or excuse me, more experienced employees will say something like, "Oh, they're so old school. They don't know anything about what's going on. And then they think that their views are useless." Well, once you start getting these two groups to talk, they can realize that neither one of them is useless. Neither one of them actually has a bad work ethic. Work ethic. It's just different. And so by encouraging conversations and getting people to start listening to each other respectfully, maybe we can combat incivility. And again, I would probably start with something more like generational differences, leave the political disagreements and things like that, leave that to them to figure out on their own once you've given them the tools in the workplace. By the way, never, ever, ever will it be a downside for you to increase civility within your organization, because what you will see as you're working on these things is that it really does have this trickle down effect. And so every time there's some sort of an issue, you can watch people, especially if you've worked with them to increase their emotional intelligence, by the way, I just heard someone refer to that today as power skills instead of soft skills. And
Mm.
I've always said emotional intelligence is a superpower anyway. So for me, I thought that was perfect. So really focus on allowing people to express how they feel, but in a respectful manner so that we can move beyond some of this and really do what's best, not just for our companies and for our employees, but also for our country.
I love that power skills because I was thinking about
Right?
that the other day, and I think soft skills doesn't do those soft skills enough justice. So,
It
like
doesn't.
emotional intelligence, how to have a difficult conversation, conflict resolution, like those are all
Right.
vital, crucial skills. So I
Absolutely.
like power skills. We're gonna use that from now on.
I knew you would love it. I was like, I'm stealing this one.
Yeah. Okay, well, so to keep with the need to fill up our glasses, I'm gonna hit the last kind of contentious one. Post-election regulatory shifts. So, it's not unusual that when we switch from one political party to another, one administration to another, that there are changes. That's typical. We go through that every, 4 to 8 years. This particular administration has been making some drastic changes, which I think are making it very challenging for employers to figure out what exactly it is that they're supposed to do. So, let me give you a couple examples. So there could be intensified workplace enforcement and immigration raids. And so for those people who have a lot of immigrants as workers, that is terrifying for those workers, of course, and also puts that business into a state of uncertainty because they're not sure they're going to be able to rely on those workers, if any of them are deported or taken away in some other way.
And
Um,
we should specify, Jules, that those people are in the country
yep,
legally. They
legally,
are
yes, yes,
authorized to work, and they do
yep,
make up a vast majority of our labor workforce.
yes,
So
yes,
really wanted to make
yes,
sure we got that out there.
yes, yes. I think another area that's getting really confusing is the current administration's position on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and affirmative action programs. Because they revoked Executive Order 11246, which was put in place by Lyndon Johnson, and that was part of what had some of the requirements under the OFCCP and VEVRA, where if you're getting federal money or you're a federal contractor, you have these goals of trying to employ at least a certain percentage. I think it's 7% for veterans and 5% for people with disabilities. Might have that backwards, but whatever. You have these goals, and sometimes you also have goals for minorities and females. And for state programs, a lot of those programs are still in place. But now this revocation of Executive Order 11246 has made those in effect unlawful. And from a federal standpoint, because the revocation of that order specifically says if you're getting federal money or you're a federal contractor, then you can't have DEI programs and you can't have these other sorts of programs in place, but there are still state programs that say you have to meet these requirements. So it puts employers in a really awkward position because oftentimes you're getting both federal and state money.
Right.
So that, and I don't have an answer for this because it is very unclear to me how an employer wins in that situation. Like if they get hauled before the court, I don't know if it's going to be a justification to say, well, the state requires us to do this and we're getting state
Right.
money, or if it's a legitimate defense to say, well, the federal government said we can't do this. So a lot of stuff is in flux and it's very confusing. And then we have the tariffs, which are, affecting supply and demand and also putting some businesses in danger of going out of business. So we've got all of these things happening that are just causing a lot of uncertainty. And again, we could spend an entire episode on that. We can talk about it more if you guys want, or if you're like, no politics, this isn't necessarily politics, it's just the fallout from politics. But, if you want us to talk more about it, we're happy to. If you don't and you tell us no, that's fine too. Um, but I think that this is an area that is going to be a constant topic for employers, just trying to figure out what it is they're allowed to do and not allowed to do.
Jules, maybe we could just see if everybody likes the idea of maybe doing like a brief and every other episode, once a month or whatever it is. We can just do like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how it may impact you. Make sure you reach out to your legal team.
Yeah.
Just because it is hard to keep up with all of the changes that are going on.
Yeah. We wanted to end with a sort of fun little thing where we're going to pick, Trisha and I will pick one of the topics that we've talked about and do a glass half empty, glass half full version
Love
of
this.
that particular topic. So, Trish, you got one in mind?
You know I do. All right, so I'm going to go back to our AI impact on talent strategy. So I've got two that are maybe half empty and then one half full. The first half empty is this. So there was this Berkeley Institute, and you guys probably have heard of them. They have this study of equity, and they looked at 88 different AIs, I guess is how you say it. And what they reported was this, and this is scary. 44% have a gender bias. The AI
Oof.
itself, 25% have a racial bias. So when we are talking about like AI and how beneficial it can be, and Julie and I both separately warned you, like you need to make sure you understand the words that you're choosing, what you're putting into your searches. Please understand that AI itself may already have that bias, and then by the words that you choose or the way you choose to word even your job descriptions, you could be further biasing the AI. Then, if you choose a particular type of candidate over another, the AI learns from that and says, aha, I was right. They actually do prefer this type of person. So that would be my first downside. It also could be scary for us as HR professionals because we're like human resources. We start worrying about our jobs and whether or not AI will take it over. And the truth is no. AI is only as good as the people who use it. We have to be a part of it at every single step. So a couple of things to think about is that if you have AI doing some of these more mundane tasks or these tasks where you don't need to necessarily be involved in every step, then that would actually help you focus on some of those tasks that could be more of an impact on the business itself. So it can actually create value in what you do because it's going to free up some time and really allow you to be more productive and really focusing on those things that your C-suite or whomever has deemed very, very important. So it's kind of a downside and an upside altogether.
Which is the entire point of this exercise, because you can look at it both ways, right?
Exactly.
Well, and when you were talking about the AI having gender and racial bias, it's because AI was originally created by humans and we have those biases. So, of course, they
Exactly.
exist within the AI. So, yes, but that's very important to always be cognizant of that if you're using the program. Again, be intentional with what your cues are. So, mine is related to the post-election regulatory issues. So, with the current administration's stance on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and I keep saying the words because I think it's important that we say the words so that we remind everybody what we're talking about. I think the glass half empty is it's very discouraging to be in a world where we are saying diversity, equity, and inclusion are bad things somehow. So I would definitely say that is the glass half empty version of this. And I was listening to a webinar the other day that just made a very simple point, but it was think about the opposite of those words. So the
I
opposite
was
of
listening to that too.
yeah, the opposite of diversity is uniformity. The opposite of equity is inequity. The opposite of inclusion is exclusion. So, do we really want in our organizations uniformity, inequity, and exclusion? Doesn't seem like those are going to get us farther. The glass half full perspective is that it is making us really think about these things for probably the first time in a long time because it has become just a phrase, right?
Yeah, yeah.
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We don't think about the actual words anymore or what they mean or what the purpose behind
It's
DEI
a box to
programs is.
check.
Yes, it's a box to check. So I think that the glass half full perspective is that we're having real conversations about it again. And I
I
think that
love
that's
that.
yeah, I think that that's really important because I think that eventually will get us to a better place where, because we have had episodes where we've talked about DEI programs and how it generally is a check the box and how we don't teach people how to have real conversations about these sorts of topics. We just teach them how to identify you know,
Right.
diversity, equity, inclusion, or microaggressions or discrimination or whatever the case may be, but we don't teach them how to talk about it. And so I'm
Right.
hoping that eventually we will get there because this has sort of forced the issue.
I love that. Actually, to our listeners, I want to put something out there to you because this is something that Julie and I are both very, very passionate about. As you probably have figured out, um, SHRM has developed what they call BEAM. If you're not familiar with BEAM yet, we will talk about it. But I'm wondering if you guys would like to delve into this a little bit further, learn more about SHRM's new focus on BEAM, talk to us about ways to improve your diversity and still, of course, an equity and inclusion, but also staying within the confounds of or confines, confounded is what I am, but
Yeah.
confines of the law. Because I think that most of you want to have these conversations. I mean, and especially when you start thinking, we are talking about women, we are talking about men, we are talking about different ethnicities, we're talking about different religions, we're talking about different education levels, socioeconomic status, disabilities. It's so much broader than what has been painted. And if you guys have an interest, I know that I would love to do a more in-depth podcast on that one. So please, or episode on the podcast. So please let us know.
Okay. Do you have another glass half empty, glass half full, or should we just wrap up with a fun one?
I was going to go straight to this one and talk about the glass half empty. I would like to say that I'm very happy this glass is half empty because it is positively delicious, and I would highly recommend. Again, I'll show it for our listeners. It is absolutely wonderful, and I would love, love, love to thank the Rusty Petunia for sponsoring us today. And having me here and for this amazing, delicious wine. So there's my half empty and half full.
Right, yes, because the beauty is it can become half full or all the way full very quickly when you have a bottle.
That is true.
Okay, great. Well, it has been so good being back with all of you. We hope you enjoyed this little highlight of what might be to come in the next several episodes. As we said, we've got a lot of fun things coming up. May 1st, you will be able to sign up for our Patreon account. Again, we're going to have a free level and also some other levels that are nominal, just to give you access to more things if you want them, again, including merchandise. And we will have wine glasses with our Wine with HR logo on them. We're going to have probably special social media pages. You can follow us on Patreon. We'll be doing a lot of cool stuff on there. LinkedIn still. We've got our wine at Monarch Endeavors LLC email. And we really do want you to reach out with topic suggestions, wine suggestions, comments, questions, whatever the case may be. I still am loving my wine, so it is also still delicious and very. I like the effervescence. It sort of is waking me up, which I needed at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, a wine Wednesday.
Wine Wednesday. This could be a thing.
Yes, it should be a thing. Well, it's going to be a thing for us. Oh, and I did check. So we talked about incivility on season 2, episode 3. So if anybody wants to go back and check that episode out, that's available. I'm sure most of it is still very relevant because, as Trish said, things really haven't changed. So
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in and being a part of our wine family. We are super, super excited to be back with you. Cannot wait to do many more episodes. So please take this to heart. When we tell you we want you to send us ideas, suggestions, wine ideas, whatever it is, we mean it. Please reach out to us. And I'm just so happy to see you guys again.
cheers.
Cheers.